Those of you who are coming back, thank you for joining me again. And those of you who are here for your first time, I want to welcome you. Today we're going to be talking about patience. So many of you might have heard the saying, patience is a virtue. And patience means that we do not become easily angered or upset when we have to wait for things. And patience is a really great quality to have. So currently, with COVID and these unprecedented times, patience is hard to come by and it's hard to hold on to. So no doubt being cooped up inside, being pulled in different directions, maybe from your kids or family members or coworkers, or just simply not being able to continue with your normal daily routine can be very unnerving and frustrating. So today we're going to be experimenting with patience, and we're going to do that through observing our sensations. So as we practice, I'd like for everyone to consider thinking of sensation as information. And it's our job to be the detective to collect and gather as much information as possible. So be curious about what's happening both in your mind and in your body. And we're going to get started actually by just starting with the breath. So we'll do a short check-in and then we'll move on over to the mat and start moving our bodies, okay? So go ahead, you can place a hand on your heart and another one on your belly. And first just notice what you feel here. So sensation might be feeling the temperature of your skin beneath your palms or the texture of your clothing. And then bringing your awareness to your breath, noticing the sensation of cool air coming in through your nose and filling your lungs. Maybe noticing the temperature, how it's changed when it leaves your body, how it's been warmed by your lungs. Maybe you notice the sound, soft, gentle sound of your inhales and exhales. Maybe you notice the sensation of energy filling yourself with each inhale, and relaxation waving over your body when you exhale. Maybe you only notice that I'm talking right now, and that's okay too. So we're going to breathe for a few moments here and I'll be quiet. So just notice what you feel, hear. So we're going to begin with a forward folding pose, and it's going to be our landmark pose. So we're going to do this pose once at the beginning, and then we'll return to it at the very end so that we can compare what has changed. Maybe something cool happens, maybe nothing happens. I don't know, you have to find out. So first thing that we're going to do is, if you have blocks or a stack of books at home, you can go ahead and grab those. So either actual yoga blocks or something about the same size. And you can choose to either do this standing up or seated. So I'm going to do my forward fold standing up. And I have my blocks here to support me because obviously we haven't really warmed up our muscles yet. So first thing I'm going to do is just hinge forward at the hips. Place my hands down onto the blocks for support, and then let my head dangle so it's heavy, just like a bowling ball. So noticing these sensations, being curious about how our sensation shifts, maybe noticing feelings of like a stretching sensation through the back of our legs, maybe noticing that sensation of blood rushing into your head since we're inverted in this pose. So another option, you can either stay there and standing, or if you're already seated, you can just go ahead and extend both legs straight out in front of you. Flex your heels so that your toes are pointed up towards the ceiling. And then even using your blocks here, you can go ahead and move them wherever it feels comfortable. So sometimes I just like to lean forward like this at first. So making any adjustments so that you are in a position that is comfortable and sustainable. So once you've found a good edge or boundary of resistance in your body, go ahead and try to find some stillness right there. So we're looking for a gentle and subtle stretching sensation, a type of stretching sensation that should dissolve over time, not intensify. So once you're able to find that, go ahead and take 3 full breaths here and collect all that information as much as you can about your body, noticing the sensation of the ground beneath your hips, your legs, your feet if you're standing. Great. All right, so now we're going to move our blocks aside and we'll start to warm up our body now. So we'll start in our on all fours and we'll come to table pose. So our fingers are spread nice and wide. Hands are directly beneath our shoulders and our heels are the equal distance apart as our knees. So our shins should be parallel from one another, hips distance. So first, let's go ahead and try to find a neutral spine in table pose, so a flat back. Go ahead and look down so that your nose is pointing between your hands. And allow your shoulder blades to flatten onto your ribs away from your ears so that your neck is long. And take a couple breaths here, keeping the belly pulled up towards the spine, pressing equally into all 10 pads of your fingers, so not just the palms. All right, so let's begin to move. On an inhale, we'll let our belly drop for cow pose as our hips and shoulders stay nice and high. Chin goes up, eyes go up. Take a deep breath here. Feel the stretch in your belly. And then in the opposite direction, we're going to exhale as we lift our spine up, round our back, drop our tailbone, and shrug our shoulders towards our ears, drop our head. Inhale. Expand through the front side of the body. Pull the shoulders away from the ears. Hips stay high. And exhale, round the back. So continue to move like this with your breath. Inhales, you expand. Exhales, you contract. And as you're doing that, I'd like for you to imagine how the muscles are connected to your pelvis. So as your hips are moving here, imagine what is moving them. Good, so we'll find a neutral table again. Go ahead and curl your toes beneath your ankles now. And we're going to gently lift our knees up and come to a downward dog. So that's this upside down letter V shape where our arms and legs are straight and strong, tail is up high. Your heels will naturally fall towards the mat, but if they don't reach there yet, that's okay. They will in time if you continue to practice. Go ahead and let your head hang heavy again so that the back of your neck, your cervical spine is extended and long. You can even just focus on looking at your knees or ankles, and that will keep your neck in place. Feel the breadth and width of your shoulder blades. And take a deep breath. Feel your ribs expand with air. Notice the sensation in your sides of your torso and the back of your legs and your hips. Continuing to press your weight firmly into your palms and fingers. 2 more breaths here. Noticing what you're feeling, what you're thinking, trying to make this pose as comfortable and sustainable as possible. So you might be getting tired here, feeling like quitting, but if you had to change just one thing, knowing that, let's say you had to stay here for 50 more breaths, what would you change? How would you conserve your energy? Which parts of your body would you soften? And go ahead and do that now. All right, go ahead, bend your knees and return back down. You can point your toes away from your body, bring your toes together, send your hips back, let your belly fall between or on top of your thighs, and extend your arms straight out in front of you, palms face down, and let your head fall forward as well. So if you'd like, you can also bring a block to rest your forehead on. So when we come to a forward fold, it increases our exhalation, and that stimulates the relaxation response. So forward folds help us to lengthen our exhales, which is very calming and soothing. Notice what you're feeling here. Notice the difference between tension in your muscles, using your muscles to hold yourself up in downward dog, and in contrast, what they feel like now, being in child's pose, which is more passive and grounding. Go ahead, lift your head up. If your block is there, move it to the side. You can walk your hands back, and we're going to send our hips to the side. Swing our feet out in front of us. And we're going to take another forward fold. So this time I'd like for you to place one ankle in front of the other with knees bent. On an inhale, extend through the crown of your head so you get nice and tall. And on the exhale, we're going to pull our belly forward between our hips and walk our arms forward. Let your head hang heavy here. So while we're in this forward bend, noticing where your pelvis is tilted now. So as it tilts forward, our hamstrings gently pull at our pelvis. So everything is connected, and our muscles have many layers. When we're able to relax one layer of a muscle, for example, our glutes, we then can become aware of a deeper muscle, such as our piriformis. And go ahead and walk your hands back. And then we'll switch feet. So this time bringing the opposite ankle in front of the other side. Inhale. And then fold forward again. So working to find a position that is one that you could stay in for a long time. So that's the amount of sensation and stretch that we're looking for. Nothing that is a pinching or uncomfortable stretching sensation. Also be aware of how your sensations are shifting throughout the duration of each pose. So we're holding our poses for at least 5 breaths in each. And it takes about 5 breaths to even really start to settle into a pose. And in any pose that we're going into, I like to think of it as the 3-step rule. is that we find stillness, we focus on our breath, and then we notice anything, thoughts, emotions, sensations. So now reflecting, maybe if any sensation has shifted in this particular pose since when you first came into it. And then walking your hands back. We'll do a couple more. So this time I'm just going to come to easy pose with my ankles crossed. And I'm going to inhale, reach my left arm straight up above my head. Right hand comes down onto the ground beside my right hip. And on an exhale, I'm going to swim my left arm over my ear towards the right. So inhales, I'm continuing to stretch my left fingertips towards the right side of the room. Another thing you can think about is inhales, we expand or we open up our chest, so our left shoulder is pulled back. And exhales, we crunch deeper. So notice here how the muscles in the sides of your trunk and your lower back are also connected to your hip here. Inhale, come back up through the center, and then switch sides. Inhaling, reaching the right arm up and over. So when you first come into this pose, you might not feel much at all. It takes a few moments to even really get into your sweet spot. So finding stillness, breathing, noticing. Maybe you notice that you can take something a little bit deeper, or you're looking for more. And in that case, you continue to modify your alignment. So inhaling, pulling the right shoulder back. And exhaling, crunching the left ribs into the left hip. One more deep breath here, noticing the sensation through the right side of your body. And then come back up through center. Good. Okay, so we are ready to return to our landmark pose, which is our forward bend. So you can go ahead and take whichever version you chose at the beginning so that we can have an accurate comparison. So if that was standing, you can come to a standing forward fold, or you can take a seated forward fold. And then again, slowly working your way back into what your own body's full expression of the pose is. And again, just gathering information here, noticing if maybe your degree of stretching sensation has increased or decreased. There's lots of changes that might have happened, such as your sensation. Maybe the shape of your pose might physically look different. Maybe your level of comfort has changed. So just noticing what's true for you, and if none of those apply, that's okay too. Maybe something different does, or maybe it's not. It's time to be patient and wait till next time for it to happen. And it will eventually, I promise you. All right, and when you're ready, you can go ahead and walk your hands back, or if you're standing, return to a seated position. So I hope that this experiment has given you a little bit of perspective as to what can happen, what changes are possible when we are willing to be patient. So I hope that this also helps you to, maybe be willing to be a little bit more patient with your family or even yourself during this difficult time. Thank you so much for joining me, and I hope to see you again next week and in person very soon. Stay well.